Hello, my name's Mike. I'll be taking you through a short little instructional video on your new bullet. I don't know if you've had a camper before, if this is your first one, but usually I just go over all the major stuff, kind of get you going if it's your first one. This unit, of course, you always want to get level whenever you get to the campground. Unit doesn't come with any kind of levels or anything. You can buy little stick-on ones. I usually just carry around like a 3-foot level like that, or a little torpedo level. It doesn't hurt to carry some wood, or you can buy little ramps in case you need to pull up on something to get your side to side. Once you get your unit level, this unit has, it's actually 2 sets of stabilizer jacks. You got a pair in the front and a pair in the rear. You can see on this end here, it does have a little fitting. If the motors would go out or something, you can actually hand crank them inside your compartment. You can see you got 2 switches there. One runs your front set, one runs the rear. And it even has little instructions there. You just push and hold your button. Usually one leg will start and get ahead of the other one. Once one side touches the ground, the other one will catch up and touch the ground. Once they're both on the ground, I just hit my extend. I watch for that camper to lift just a little bit, and then, you know, it'll be good and sturdy. Once you get all 4 of them down, it'll keep us good and solid while you're camping. You use your electric phone jack. This is how you'll get your front to back. They've just got extend and retract. So retract will lower the front, extend will raise the front. Your on-off switch just turns your little light on. If this jack ever fails, you can pull this rubber plug out. It has most of them have a 3/4 fitting there where you can hand crank it also. Got your 2 propane tanks. You can see here I got the 2 new ones that go with your camper. We go ahead and fill those up. I've been running the furnace and checking the water heater, all that stuff, so I use a shop tank, so that way I don't burn up your propane. That way you'll have 2 full tanks whenever you take it. Got a regulator. You can see this one's got a little selector valve. Right now we're pointed over at that tank, so that's the one we're running on. Got a little window. When that tank goes empty, you'll get a little red indicator pop up in your window. Once you notice that, you can shut off your empty one, switch over to your good one, open it up, then your little red thing will disappear, and then you're running off that tank. Whichever one you're not pointed at, you can remove it, go exchange it or fill it. This is also, they call it an auto changeover regulator. Right now, we'll say we're pointed at this one, that's the one it's running on. You can open up your other one that it's not running on. If the one you're pointed at runs empty, it'll go ahead and use the gas from the other tank. Like if you had your fridge on, or like your water heater or something. I think the fridge is actually all 12 volt in this one, so just like your water heater or furnace, it'll keep running. It'll just give you a red indicator letting you know that one's empty. I know a lot of people don't like to do that because you can run both your tanks empty before you realize it. So a lot of people just leave that other one shut off. Got a 12 volt battery, and it's got a little lid and a strap will go on there. You can run a lot of the stuff on the unit's 12 volt. Your awning, your slide out. This one's got a 12 volt refrigerator, your jack, and this unit also has a built-in battery charger on board. So anytime you're plugged up with your power cord, it'll charge and keep that battery charged. Also also while you're plugged into your tow vehicle. Your tow vehicle will charge that as you're going down the road. So you got a big red switch. That is a battery disconnect. Right now, we're on the power on. So if you're going to store this thing for a while, you can turn it to power off, and that will cut your battery off. That way, you know, if you leave the light on or something, it won't drain that battery to storage. Our power cord's towards the rear, so we'll look back in a minute. This patch here is a new setup they started doing. I actually like it. You got all your water right here in one area. You can also winterize your camper right here from this area. You can see you got city water connection. That's for your main water hookup. We recommend you always use a water pressure regulator whenever you're hooking into a water supply. That'll make sure no high pressure causes any leaks. When you're hooked to that, you just turn your water supply on. This one has a 6-gallon water heater, so it's got a tank. Whenever the first priority when you turn your water on is it fills that 6-gallon water heater first thing. What you want to do when you first turn your water on is open up a hot side on any of your faucets. This one has a little quick connect faucet with a hose that flips into it, so you can open up your hot side right here using your hose. As that water heater's tank's filling up, you'll get a bunch of air spitting out of the hot side. Won't get much water, and that's purging the air as that tank fills. Once the air stops and you get your good water flow from your hot side, then you know that water heater's full. That'll keep that tank from getting any kind of air in it and making it spit and sputter. You can see we got fresh water connection. It's actually not really a connection. You just pop this off. This has a freshwater tank mounted underneath the unit. If you go somewhere you don't have a water hookup, you can stick your water hose in there, fill that tank up. You've got a little gauge inside, tells you how full it is. It also has an overflow, so if you forget about it, it just starts running out onto the ground under the unit, so it won't flood it or anything. Also, that tank has a drain right below. Right now it's open where I drained it all back out, but you can pop that little valve open, drain that out. You can see we got another one here. This one's orange. They kind of make it different for a reason. Once we talk about our holding tanks, dumping them, you'll kind of see a little bit better, but this is a black tank flush. Your black holding tank is your sewer tank. The toilet's the only thing runs for the black tank. This fitting here, whenever you dump your black tank, which I'll show you in a minute, you pull your handle and you leave that open. Once it's all dumped out, you leave your handle open, hook your water hose up to your flusher here. Always use that pressure regulator when you're using this also. When you kick your water on, it's going to spray out the inside of that black tank. Helps clean that thing out real good. A lot of people will get a clear sewer hose connector. That way you can see that water. Once it goes clear, you know that tank's flushed out real good. And whenever it's got a little check valve back in the line, so whenever you shut your water off, it won't let any of that water that went into the line come back into your hose. So it's real common whenever you unhook your hose from this black tank flush, you'll get a good little stream of water for a second. What it is that water line, whatever's in it, up to that check valve, it'll come back out the connection because that little check valve has shut it off. But that's common whenever you unhook that. You'll get a good little stream of water there for a second. So usually I let that drain out and then pop my cap back in. The winterize, you can see you got a Similar water hose top hookup here, winterized. You can see you've got two valves, got a winterized valve, water heater bypass. You remember, we always use the antifreeze. We pump the antifreeze into the water lines. It's that special non-toxic RV antifreeze, usually a pink color or blue color. You can see you can get a hose. A lot of people, you can buy a special hose. A lot of people will just get an old garden hose they don't use and cut off about a couple feet section and just use, say, the end that threads into here. Just make your hose long enough. Usually you can set your antifreeze jug right here beside the compartment. So just make your hose long enough to run over into your antifreeze jug. When you turn your winterized valve, that is going to put, it bypasses your water pump. You have a 12-volt water pump for if you're running off of your fresh tank. It pumps the water to the fixtures out of the system. So what that does, when you turn your valve, you stick your hose that you got hooked up into your antifreeze. When you flip your water pump on inside, it's going to suck from this fitting and suck the antifreeze up into the unit, and then it will send it out to all your fixtures. So you just go to all your hot and your cold, run until you get your pink antifreeze, get your toilet, all the outside fixtures. That makes it real easy to pump that antifreeze. Your water heater bypass, that'll bypass that. You can see I've got it up in the bypass position. I just winterized it here a little while ago. But that bypasses the water heater, so that way you don't pump any of that antifreeze into your water heater. This is real nice because you don't have to take any panels loose, or you can just turn two valves and you're set up to winterize. You just go inside and flip your pump on and start winterizing. A lot of the water heaters, you have to get to the back of them. Usually it's behind a panel or something you got to take loose. That makes it really easy to winterize. Usually takes, get 2 gallons. Usually you'll use about 1.5. Then what I got left, I usually just pour it down all my sink and shower traps. You can see this key TV. This is your cable, and it's also got a satellite hookup. So if you got a cable supply or satellite, you hook in here. This hatch has a little piece you can thread out. So you can run your cable wire, your water hoses, you can run them up through there and keep your door closed. I'm not sure if you're familiar with slide outs, but once we get back here, you can kind of see this, the design. You'll always want to check those roofs before you go and run them back in. If a tree limb or something falls and was laying on there, you can see there it'll get kind of crunched up when you run that in. Also, this one's got the ladder. That makes it easy to check your roof. I check that roof off and check the sealant up there, make sure it all still looks good. It's got a walk on the roof. It's good to walk that, check it so often, look at your rubber mat, make sure it hasn't got a tear or something from a tree limb, or it helps to check that often. That way if something does get into it or that sealant starts kind of drying out, if you catch it when it happens, you can take care of it right then before it becomes a problem. You can see this unit has a 50 amp power hookup. This has got one of the nicer cords I've seen. It's got a little LED, lets you know you got power and got a good connection. They use a pistol grip, so once it's plugged in correctly, it'll be straight up and down like that. They call it a twist lock cord. It'll only plug in one way. Whenever you plug it in, it'll turn to the right and lock in. So when you first plug it in, it'll kind of be over at this angle, and then you'll turn it to the right, locks it in place. Then you got a ring. You can tighten this ring down. That'll keep at a good solid connection. You can see just loosen that ring. It's pretty easy to turn it. So always tighten that down good. Just hand tight. You don't have to go super tight on it. Just a little plastic piece. Usually the cord is, they usually make them about 30 foot. And that is a 50 amp power supply. The unit comes with 2 adapters in a compartment up front there. 2 red adapters. One will, you can plug your 50 amp cord in. It'll step it down to a 30 amp hookup. Then there's another adapter that will step that 30 amp down to a 15 amp. With just a regular outlet. That way you can plug it up at the house. And this unit, I think they use a 50 amp because I'm thinking you can, this one's set up to where you can add a second AC. Then I guess that's really why they come out with the 50 amp, was to run multiple air conditioners. So if you plug the 50 amp, this one just has the 1 AC, so if you plug the 50, you should be able to run everything. Also, even if you step it down to a 30 amp, you'll still be able to run your AC, everything else. They recommend if you have to step down and use that 15 amp adapter, that small one, for the regular outlet, they recommend you don't run your air conditioner. I guess I think it's on a 20 amp circuit, and that adapter is only rated for like 15, so a lot of times if you try, it'll keep kicking the breakers. So usually if you step it down, that's just more for plug it up at the house, get your fridge cold, and have it running, and you can run all your lights. And you can see here on the opposite side, that quick connect faucet up front, that blue coiled up hose that clips into it, it will also work on this connection. They call it a spray port, but it's doesn't have a faucet, it's just a cold water supply. And I just kind of put it beside that rear door. That's real handy. You got water on both sides. This one's got the little mini fridge. It's got a strap with a buckle for when you're traveling, that holds it in place. That's a 110 fridge, so you have to be plugged into electric for it to work. It's more like a home top fridge. Got a little 2-burner cooktop. You can see, it'd be kind of hard to do while filming, but it's got a hose. It's already connected to the stovetop. It's got a quick connect in, so you just drop your hose down in between your gap there. And that's where it might get hard, but once you go under, you get it. Sorry about the shaking. You can see you got a quick connect. Push the little collar back, that's your cap. That little collar pushes back, you can clip your hose in. And then it's got an on-off switch. Once you get your hose hooked up, you turn your valve to the on position, and then that just taps into the 2 propane tanks up front. Once you're done, it will push back in. You can see they got a little latch, slides over. I like that, that's the simplest thing, but about every other one of these I've seen, they don't put any kind of latch on them. So whenever you're traveling, that thing will come out and hit the door and tear it up. And I thought that's just the simplest little latch, and that'll stop that from happening. That is your furnace exhaust. So you want to check it every so often, make sure it's not got a big mud dauber's nest. I usually take a flashlight, look back in there every so often. You never want to block that off. That's the exhaust. So if it's blocked off, it'll be exhausting to the inside, which is very dangerous. Got a TV output. You got a couple of power outlets, and then you got the cable and satellite output. So if you want to set up a TV, you can some people just set up a table and hook it up. They do mark a location if you want to put a mounting bracket. Unless you really want it, I usually recommend against drilling and attaching anything to the outside unless you absolutely have to, or it's something you absolutely have to have. And then if you do install it, or whoever installs it, you got to make sure you seal all your screw holes, seal it real good. Don't want to get any kind of leaks. Got our water heater. This is runs on electric or propane. On the inside, I'll show you, just got some switches to turn it on and off. You can see it's got a nylon plastic top drain plug. This threads onto our pipe here. That's how you drain your 6-gallon tank. An 1 1/16" socket will fit that perfectly. And then usually I'll get me a little 3-inch extension on a ratchet, makes it easy to get to. Anytime you're not going to use the unit or water for more than a few days, you want to drain that out. You don't want to just leave water sitting in it for a long period. It'll start to stagnate and stink really bad. You can see you got a pressure relief valve. These are real important, especially on the electric part. You don't want to turn that on unless that water heater's tank is full, has water in it. That's one good thing. If you open the hot side and purge the air as it's filling, once you get your water from your hot side, that'll tell you it's full. A lot of people will also come out and you can just barely pull that little pressure relief, and if you get water out of it, you know it's full. Front compartment, there's our electric adapter. Comes with a little coupler pin. Also comes with a little 10-foot sewer hose for the holding tank dump. It's kind of like a little basic 10-foot hose. Since we're talking about dumping the holding tanks, let's look at that. You can see they got couple stickers, gray, black tank, and then directly below, you see you got our hookup. Black handles your black tank, gray is your gray tank, and all the hookups are pretty much universal, all the sewer hose connections. When they're pushed in, they're closed. That's how you'll leave them when you're camping. You'll want to wait till that panel inside reads, 1/3, 2/3. Come out and actually dump it. You don't want to leave them open while you're camping. People say, oh, just let it run out, but the liquid runs out, the solid stays behind, and it gets pretty nasty. So you just leave them closed till you get a certain level on your tank. Come out, and when you pull your handle, that'll let it open and dump. Most people pull the black first, let it dump out. That's a good time if you've got a water hose hookup to use your black tank flush. Once you flush it, close that black off, and then when you open up that gray, that should kind of flush anything that's in your hose out of there. This one's a little different. You can see you've got the black and gray. That's your bathroom set up. A little ahead of it, it's got another connection. It's right under the kind of in front of the tire there. You can see you've got the same connection, just has one valve. That is your kitchen gray tank. So that hookup there, that tank, the only thing that goes to it is the kitchen sink. So it's probably going to take a lot longer to fill that one up. Some people will take 2 hoses. You can buy a little wall connector and connect them to one. You can also, you can just switch your hose whenever you need to dump it. Your bumper end caps, you can pop those out, store sewer hoses in your bumper. Head inside here and look at a few things. You can see these steps. They are on a hinge. They fold up into the doorway for travel. Your legs, you got a pin. You can pop those pins out, adjust your legs in and out. When we come in to the right, here's our control panel. Got your porch light, which I think your LED awning lights, ceiling lights, that'll do all your ceiling lights. Here is our monitor panel. You can see you got fresh, all you need to worry about, you got black 1, gray 1, and gray 2. You don't have to worry about black 2. It only has the 3. You hit your buttons and it'll light up. It goes empty 1/3, 2/3 full. Got your water heater controls. Turn it on LP gas and to turn it on electric. Got our water pump switch. The only time you need your pump is if you have to run off of your fresh water tank. If you're hooked up to your city water, you don't need your pump. That pump's a demand pump, so it only pumps when you open up a faucet. Once you shut it back off, you'll hear that it'll pressure back up and the pump will shut off. So you just leave it on and it just kicks on and off whenever you open up a fixture. Got your slide out controlled, just push and hold it. And this one, they use a cable drive. I'll run it in a little bit. Whenever it gets all the way out or all the way in, you hear the motor just kind of cut out, so then you just let off your button. Got your awning, extend and retract, got the power awning. This one, you got to make sure your entry door is not open. That awning will actually hit the door, so you just kind of open your door up a little bit, and then you can hit your extend and run it out. I'm right beside a camper, so I can't go all the way, but once that gets all the way out, you'll start to be able to see the black tube, and then it has a flap that comes down. It's called a valance. So once you see that flap come down, I'll usually get it kind of straight up and down. Then you want to let off your button. You don't want to go out past that. You've got a adjustable pitch on both ends. You can see this arm, once you get it all the way out, it's going to be kind of more straight out, but you can pull down on your arm and that'll break it at an angle, and that'll lower that side of the awning. That way if you get a little bit of sprinkle of rain, you can see there it tells you where to pull down to adjust pitch. It's got those on both ends, so you can pick either end. Usually if it gets more than just a little sprinkle, I recommend running it in. If you get any kind of wind whipping up, it's so easy to damage one of them. I'll just be on the safe side, run it in. If you get any kind of heavy rain or wind, just hit our retract on our button now, and that'll bring it back in. Once it gets all the way in, you'll kind of hear that fabric tighten down, then the motor cuts off, and then you just let off your button. Our AC and heat is all on this thermostat. Got a temperature up and down. Your mode, that'll take you through. You've got a our mode, you got a fan mode. Then you can hit fan. That's low, and then that's high. Start to kick in there. Hit mode again. You got your cool mode. Then you got your furnace mode. And then back to off again. I just heard our furnace kick on there. Big brown box here, your breaker box. Got all your 110 breakers, all the 12 volt has fuses, got them labeled. Fuses, each one has a light beside it, so if the fuse blows, it lights up right beside it. They even got a little window, so if you see a light on there, you know you got a fuse blown. Got your propane and carbon monoxide detector. They also got the regular smoke detector. Usually, there it is, right on the ceiling in the kitchen. Got the 9 volt battery. pan around. I really like that little bump setup. That's pretty cool. And both areas have their own little shelves back there. Got USB chargers in there for their phones and all that stuff. Same thing there on the bottom. Got the foot flush style toilet. If you just go halfway, it runs water. Go the rest of the way, it's gonna dump it and rinse the bowl. Only use the RV toilet paper. You don't want to use regular home toilet paper. It will get stuck on those tank sensors and want to give you false readings. Also, that regular toilet paper doesn't break down, so it'll clog up your knife valve handles for your dump station. So always use RV toilet paper. You never want to use that tank empty. You want to put a little bit of water or something in there before you start using it. Usually I'll fill that bowl up a couple times, flush it. That's a good time to add a dose of your toilet chemicals. TV. Whenever this does have a roof antenna, whenever you get to your campground, you use your menu on your TV. You'll go to usually it's the menu, and it'll have a channel section. You'll scroll down, it'll ask for signal type, cable or air antenna. You'll pick your air antenna. Usually on that same menu, it'll have run auto channel scan or auto channel search. You'll click that, and then it'll go through and find your channels. If you're hooked to cable, you'll use that same menu. On your signal type, you'll pick cable instead. This one, you don't have to turn your antenna on or crank it up or anything. It's just all done through the menu on the TV. Your entertainment center, it's a AM, FM, CD, DVD. The DVD is I'll have to look, but they usually hook it up with the audio video cable still. So on your input on your TV, you go to your AV or audio video, then your DVD will come up. Zone 1 and 2 is your inside and outside speakers. You can switch between those or have them all on. You've got a Bluetooth button, I think. Yeah, it's this one. Got your Bluetooth button. You'll click it, and then on your phone or tablet, settings, and go to Bluetooth, it'll come up as this DV, I think DV3100. If it asks for a passcode to pair, it's always just 4 zeros. That'll let you Bluetooth with it. This is our 12-volt fridge. This little weird thing is a travel latch. Whenever you're traveling, you swing that over, and that'll keep your doors closed in case you get on some bouncy roads or something. But we actually, a lot of them are switching to these 12-volt only fridges. Got your temperature controls there. But the good thing about the 12-volt fridges, a couple of good things, they cool a lot quicker. I know the regular kind, usually they recommend run them overnight before you start putting food. They recommend it like 6 to 8 hours. These cool down a lot quicker. After a couple hours, it's pretty well almost all the way cold. And that 12-volt, you can run it while you're traveling. It's running off your battery, and remember, you've got the built-in charger. So while you're driving, it's charging that battery as it's using it, so you're not really using up your battery power. Then if you get somewhere with no electric, you can run that fridge off battery power for a good bit. A lot of times you can turn your coldness way down, so where it's just barely doing the minimum it needs to, but that'll make it use less battery power. That's your standard microwave, cooktop. This has an igniter. Each time you click it, it sends a spark to your top burners and your oven pilot. You can light your oven pilot. With that igniter, you push and hold your knob in on your flame and hit your clicker at the same time. That'll light your pilot down there in the bottom and the back. You just gotta kind of look down there, watch it. Once it lights, then you can go to your temperature, and that'll light the burner. Anytime a burner's on, you can see it turns red. That lets you know there's gas coming out whenever you've got it turned. So you turn to your flame, and you'll want to hit that sparker pretty soon after. You don't want to let that gas build up. Got the USB and electric in the counter. It will push down and store out of the way when you don't need it. I think we about got everything. And I'll be the one when you come to pick it up. I'll be setting up, I think I had weight distribution and a sway control, so I'll be setting that up. If I missed anything or if you had any questions, I can answer those. I'll go ahead and get this uploaded and get off of here, and I'll go ahead and thank you ahead of time for taking the time to watch my video. I hope it helps you out, and I guess we will see y'all tomorrow morning. Yeah, I think it was tomorrow morning. Thought that was neat, got a little storage in the arms. But we'll see you tomorrow. Y'all have a good evening, and thank you.